ladies and gentlemen, ACRacebest here. Now, right now on my channel, I have a lot of uploads coming from Bronycon, including the con vlogs and panels and who knows what else is coming out. A lot of stuff still to post, so stay tuned for all of that. As many have heard, I know a lot of the viewers here on my channel are bronies, or people that follow My Little Pony or the community. There was an announcement this last weekend, just about a week ago, when Bronycon happened. During the closing ceremonies, they made the announcement that Bronycon 2019 will be the last Bronycon ever. The news came as a shock. It was very surprising. I know that I never would have guessed that Bronycon was going to come to an end this early in the fandom's life. I'm also a very optimistic person, but I just wanted to kind of address this a little bit, kind of talk, because I know that there's a lot of concern about what this means, and I just wanted to at least put something out on my behalf and you know, say a couple things. Also, I want to mention that this coming Wednesday on the Semi-Perfect podcast at 6 p.m. Pacific time, we're going to be diving into this pretty deeply with other people in the fandom, including SaberSpark, Paleo, both YouTubers, Black Griffin, of course, a musician and YouTuber and all sorts of wacky and crazy guy. Hirosashi is a guy who used to make music in the fandom. Toodles, an artist in the fandom, and my fiance. Hi.
Hi.
You're still not on the couch.
Nope.
Good. And Laura, cosplayer in the community. So kind of a lot of personalities that end up at these type of conventions, and we're going to be talking about not only how Bronycon 2018 was, but the expectations and what we think this all means. So there'll be a lot more discussion. That'll be like a 2-hour podcast just talking about Bronycon and whatnot. So please feel free to come out. It's on Toodles Twitch. Yeah. Toodles 3702, and again, the Semi-Perfect podcast has a Twitter where we post when we're going to be live and whatnot. So that all being said, Bronycon's ending, of course, it was a surprise. I wasn't at closing ceremonies when it was announced, as you'll see in the vlog. You also kind of see my immediate thoughts on things. We filmed a little bit about the announcement and whatnot right after it came out, but we were getting ready to head to the airport at the time. And I saw the announcement on Twitter about the dates, to which I'm like, oh, okay. And then I saw another thing about how it's going to be the last year in 2019, to which I'm thinking, what? Okay, someone's pulling my leg here. And that wasn't the case. It was announced by the chair of Bronycon during closing ceremonies that Bronycon 2019 will be the last Bronycon. Now, of course, the immediate jump to emotion is, what the heck, why? Like, you know, in a lot of cases, it feels like, well, what's wrong? How is this fair? All this stuff. And of course, there's been a lot of input in the last week in regards to not just convention goers, but people who have run conventions, people who still run conventions. And of course, what it comes down to is running a convention isn't easy. And Bronycon, where of course the speculation probably would have been and probably will continue to be, no matter how many times they tell us otherwise, was it money related? Was it was there problems, you know, with staff or whatnot? But what it comes down to is that with the continuing falling numbers for Bronycon, they didn't want to scale down and become a smaller convention, much like ones that continue to operate in the States and also internationally. They decided that, you know, with the numbers this year, it had dropped an additional right around the 1,000 mark from last year, and they had that about the same decline. They had a bigger decline last year from the year before, but they essentially wanted Bronycon to be remembered as that big convention, and instead of scaling down or finding a new location, decided, as they have every right to, that will be it. And So that was the decision on their part to end Bronycon. That's why it is. It's not that they stated that every year they've been in the black. They haven't lost money with Bronycon or been in a financial turmoil with Bronycon. So that's always good to know. Not only because it's at least a little bit of like, okay, so there's all the well intentions in regards to why this convention's coming to an end, but also for those conventions that are out there, you also hope that they're at least seeing. We've seen some growth with a number of the smaller conventions, and when I say smaller, I'm still talking 2,000, 1,000, maybe just under 1,000 people, and there's still a decent number of conventions out there. But with Bronycon coming to an end, it kind of hits you right here, especially for some of us who've been in the fandom for years and years. And I feel just as bad for those that have just gone into the fandom and said, someday I want to go to Bronycon, and that's not going to be an opportunity that they're going to have. I get the emotion. I understand, people being upset, people being sad. I mean, there's a lot of emotions that I've gone through, a lot of my friends that you guys see us at Bronycon have gone through, and I think the first thing I'll say, despite all the emotion and how much we don't want this announcement to ever really be made, is I'm glad that they made the announcement when they did, because this is one of those announcements where it would have really just shook us all if we found out, oh, that was the last one. Which wouldn't have really been, I feel like you can actually use the term, "Wow, that's not fair," because a lot of people would like that opportunity to go out with a bang, or at least know and live up. There's been opportunities outside of the fandom for me, racetracks that I've been to. I'm a huge racing fan, and sometimes a racetrack will close, and being able to know in advance that this is the closing date, this is your last chance to go there, allows you to kind of emotionally be able to absorb the moment and really kind of live in that like, wow, I'm going to have to remember this place, and it gives you kind of that opportunity. So I'm glad that they made the announcement when they did. As mentioned, there's the con chair has made some Q&A type posts in regards to some of the decision making. This was one of the things that came up, was why they made the announcement when they did. I think they made a good call, because as mentioned, if they said at any point after, people would have probably once again fallen back to, well, yeah, they're saying this, but maybe they lost so much money this year, and they wanted to make it clear that this was a decision that's been a long time in the making. It wasn't just something over the weekend that they decided, well, that's going to be it. So they made the announcement, and of course with it came a lot of emotion from just about everybody through this fandom, whether they're people that go every year or people that have never been to a convention at all. And I mean, the emotion, I know some people watching this here are probably still confused or sad or upset. And I mean, by all means, this is something where it's in one regard kind of a sign where the fandom's at. But I also, partially why, or a big reason why I'm making this video, is to kind of hit upon some of those concerns, because again, we're losing our biggest convention, the biggest convention that we've ever had in this Brony fandom, and quite possibly, more than likely, ever will have in this fandom. Even how it's operating right now, from this year's attendance of mid 5,000s. That's still a hefty group of people. It never felt like, wow, there's nobody here at the convention, and yeah, I know that again that the emotions are there, and I just kind of wanted to address to people that it's okay to be upset about this. It's to be sad, but also it's a good time to not only reflect upon the awesome times that we've had, but also, maybe get that last hurrah in next year, and even then, it's a good opportunity. Talk with your friends. If you've met anybody in the fandom, it's okay to vent to them, or just talk and be like, wow, this is really happening. So yeah, I mean, there's been other conventions that have gone to the wayside. Two of the biggest ones in my mind that I have attended in the past. I remember when MLP MSP came to a close. That was a scenario where we found out after the last MLP MSP that it wasn't coming back, and that was a bummer. MLP MSP was a fun convention, great people, and finding out when we did. We had really no opportunity to kind of live in that moment and go, well, this is the last one, let's make it count. Equestria LA, on the other hand, was a convention that we knew in advance, this is it. This is the last EQLA. And, we were able to really enjoy it. We were able to, be able to live in those memories and know, like, well, this is the last time that we're having this hurrah here. And, between the two, I'd always take the latter to be able to know in advance, like, okay, this is it. Every convention we go to, we would use the phrase, let's make this one count. So it's not like, oh, now we're actually going to put effort into this, but now it's that, if it's just going the extra step, just leaving it all out, because this will be the last one. In just about, in fact, exactly a year from now, the 2019 Bronycon will be running. My relationship with Bronycon has been great. Ever since 2013, when I came out, we became very involved from the get-go. I believe 2013 was the first year. It was at the Baltimore Convention Center. And so that's all I've ever known of Bronycon is that Baltimore Convention Center. And always have been super busy, very involved, whether it's working on our own panels or ones that involve show staff, and it's been such an incredible ride, and I'm glad I've never regretted that I've done the vlogs, because for me, I'm able to look back at all the great memories. And there's been so many, not just from what I've experienced, but from what each and every one of you that have been to Bronycon have experienced. And, again, that's why I think it hurts as much as it does that this convention's coming to a close. But again, by all means, respecting the decisions that were made. I'm glad to know, from what I can tell, that it involved a big number of the people who have been involved with Bronycon over the years, and knowing that it was something that they spent a lot of time coming to this decision. There is an amount of relief from that, but again, it's still like, wow, this is our big party. This is the one. And to know that we're losing Bronycon, to anyone that's ever staffed Bronycon or run Bronycon or attended Bronycon, had any part in that convention, this is a thank you. And in a way, it's already hard, I'm sure, to have made this decision as far as people involved with Bronycon, but this response goes to show how much this convention means to everybody at this scale. And as mentioned, I never would have guessed that Bronycon would have come to a close this soon. I always figured it would be one of the last running conventions that we'd have here in the States, or in general in the fandom, that it would probably scale down and keep moving as far as the convention demand. But I never, like, this was a blindside moment where it was like, wait, this is really it? Wow. And yeah, I've seen a lot of people who haven't even been involved in the fandom for years that are shocked by this news. And, it's not easy to take this information and be happy about it right now. Really, it's something that most of us will probably never be happy about, but it's happened, and it's going to happen, and the best that we can do is make the most of the time that we have left with Bronycon, and again, to always say thank you and to give the utmost respect to the people that run these conventions as well as they have, because Bronycon, for its size and scope, has always really been a well-run convention, much like most of the ones that are left running these days have been. So yeah, I mean, it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be sad or whatnot. But just know that we're gonna have one last big party in 2019, and it's not the end. And that this is the point I've been wanting to make, is this is not the end. Bronycon is essentially, like I said, it's that party that we have every year. But because Bronycon's ending does not mean the fandom's dying. Does it mean that the fandom's getting smaller? Perhaps, yeah. Or at least the fandom, that the part of the fandom that loves to go to these conventions has been getting smaller in that regard. But there have been conventions this year that have grown from last year, and that's a good sign. And these conventions are going to look to pick up where Bronycon has left off. A lot of them already have great reputations for themselves, and have deserved that. And the convention scene isn't going away right now. Bronycon isn't going to be that end of Brony conventions. It just means that for a good number of people, now it's going to be time to find, okay, maybe I've been going to Baltimore every year. Maybe it's time to go to Seattle for this year, or San Francisco, or check out the conventions near Chicago. There's a lot of great conventions out there. I know I'm not mentioning all of them, but there's ones that I haven't been to that are still going on, and so the convention scene isn't going anywhere right now. We're losing Bronycon. Yes, we've lost EQLA, we've lost MLP/MSP, we've lost Nightmare Nights, we've lost other conventions. God bless Unicon. Just couldn't get off the ground. But we've also stayed strong with the conventions that have been here and that have managed these smaller but manageable attendances. And honestly, the ones that are running right now, they have their reputation because they've earned it. It's not just, oh, well, we're still going. They're still going for a reason. And so I highly suggest that if Bronycon was your one convention that you'd go to each year, give another convention a shot. Maybe give two of them a shot, because they're awesome. And the scale is going to be smaller, but there's also intimacy that comes with a smaller convention. There's a little bit more of being able to, be able to spread out a little bit and get to know people on a more personal level. And Bronycon will always be that scale convention, but there's still a lot of good ones out there. Conventions aside, the fandom isn't going anywhere. It's not going to just die because Bronycon's gone. It's not going to dwindle and fizzle out because now we don't have conventions. There are fandoms out there that have never had the benefit of having conventions at all. There's fandoms out there like I've talked about. The Chippendale Rescue Ranger fandom still exists after 20 plus years, after starting when the internet really wasn't much of a thing, and it's still going. And this is a show that hasn't aired since the early 90s. The MLP community, this fandom, still has such a high amount of productivity that's out there, whether it's in art, videos, music. There's so much out there, stories that are being written and new tales that are being told, and it's not going away. The Brony fandom, while it might get smaller and probably will get smaller, it's always going to hold on to those that are in this fandom, especially after a couple years, because let's admit, when we started, it was almost along the lines of a fad. There were a lot of people that got into it for the factor of how, wow, this is kind of weird, but fun, and kind of sticking it to the media as far as them kind of going after it, and people going, well, what the heck is this? There was always that kind of puppy dog love phase with this fandom, But it's still going strong. It's been going for nearly 10 years now. And the fact that we could still sit here and say, hey, the Brony fandom, like not even getting into the fans that have been into the stuff since the 80s or 90s, the Brony fandom is still okay. And it's going to be okay. And there's going to be conventions for us to get together. And there's going to be opportunities. And there's going to be more content. And there's going to be more stuff. The Brony fandom is going to be all right. And while we are all going to miss Bronycon, whether we've been there or we haven't been there or we've been there every year, we're going to miss Bronycon. But the Brony fandom is going to be all right. And I wanted to take the time out to kind of just make that point, because I know there's people that are concerned. I know there's people that have so much invested into this fandom, and that's okay. You know, you've met friends through this fandom. Some of us have met best friends, lifelong friends. Some people have met their fiancés, their wives, their husbands. They've met people in this fandom and have had that effect. Someone got married. A couple people got married at Bronycon this past year. People have gotten engaged at these conventions. There's always still going to be that Brony fandom. As long as we partake in it, if you love this fandom and you partake in it, whether it's making content or just enjoying that content that's made, going to conventions or enjoying, you know, having some kind of background to it all, the Brony fandom's going to be all right. And it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And we as a collective group of people that enjoyed this show, you know, the show, while, you know, we all know that Gen 4 has what it has going on, there's always going to be that opportunity for more. And you know, even though I still don't know full detail, like, is Gen 5, is that confirmed? It's not really confirmed, is it? I don't know. I don't know. But let's say there's a Gen 5. And even if it doesn't come right away, it's going to happen. MLP is a moneymaker. My Little Pony makes companies money. This stuff's not just going to go to the wayside. It's not going to go away. Because even if some of us grow out of it, as some people have and moved on, there's always going to be that next little girl or little boy that discovers the show, falls in love with it like we all did, and they're going to grow up with it. We saw people that have been growing up in this fandom. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say all this, guys. I know there's concern. I know there's that kind of that cloud that's hanging over everything right now. But it's okay. We're going to be okay. And I just wanted to let everybody know. And again, we'll be talking more about this in a group on a podcast. Semi-Perfect Podcast is coming Wednesday. That'll be August 8th. And I invite all of you to come on out and not only hear what we have to say, but contribute in the chat. And as we love hearing what people in the chat are saying, and we'll have a Q&A session in regards to a lot of the stuff, because again, I know this is kind of a heavy time, but I wanted to make this video. I wanted to talk with you all and just say, it's going to be all right. You know, it's one of those moments where it's like, oh man, wish that we didn't have to deal with it now. And while we do, we're still going to be all right. So that being said, what?
A spider made a home in my Fix It Felix Jr. hat.
A spider is living in your Fix It Felix hat?
Like, there's a lot of webs. Ew.
But yeah, folks, so that's all I wanted to say. I hope you have a great weekend. And join us on the Semi-Perfect Podcast. A lot more to come from Bronycon 2018. Vlogs, panels, a whole bunch of good stuff that's going to be headed your way. And a lot of content. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your time. And we will see you guys around the block. This is ACRacebest signing out. I want you all to have a great time. Good night, everybody. Sarah, say good night. I don't think I'm going to use that music for this.
You've come such a long, long way.
You're going to make Jack's Blade cry.
And I've watched you from the very first day. I don't remember the rest of the words. There is totes a spider living in my hat.
See ya.